got a superstar team with me. But Jason Tatum, he says the Celtics, they're incorrectly being anointed a super team. But maybe they are, maybe they aren't. Didn't look like one last night. Let's roll the highlight, please, Director Matt, because the Cavs, they went into Boston and they crushed the Celtics last night. It feels like we get this game at least once a series for Boston, Perk.
Yeah, but a different team. Look, the Cavs took their lick in game one, and they came out and made adjustments. And adjustments were to share the basketball. I thought Donovan Mitchell did a great job of getting his, but getting others involved. The Cavs had 6 players in double figures. Karis LeVert was also huge off the bench with 21.
How have we not mentioned the name Evan Mobley yet as Donovan Mitchell sizes up the defender, gets that 3 to go?
Well, we can mention him now, and I believe he's the most important player for the Cleveland Cavaliers. But you know what, Malika? It feels good when you're a big man and you're able to touch the basketball early, because we saw that in Evan Mobley. He started to clean up the glass and protect the basket for us on the defensive end.
We've talked about how the Celtics live by the 3, die by a 3 a little bit. Last night, the Cavs 3-ball was going. The Celtics, it was not. Donovan Mitchell doing everything that he could here. Again, driving to the cup, getting that one to go.
I mean, the Celtics, is this a team that's trying to win a championship? A team that's jogging back in transition, not communicating, not helping, not doing anything?
Finally, we get an Evan Mobley highlight. We needed a little bit more of him there. The Cavs get the win, 118-94. Celtics 94 points, by the way, the second fewest they've scored all season. There have been plenty, right, of letdown games in playoff history, but none quite like this. The Celtics, they were 12.5-point favorites in Game 2. Their 24-point loss nearly doubled the next closest defeat in nearly 250 scenarios where the closest double-digit figure. You see all the mumbo-jumbo here. Let's listen to Jason Tatum.
The world thinks we're never supposed to lose. We're supposed to win every game by 25. And it's not going to be like that all the time. The idea that we have a super team, we didn't have the coach of the year. We didn't have the MVP. We only had 2 All-Stars. So they say we're a super team, but, we didn't get rewarded like we are.
Who said they had a super team? Did you say it?
I did not say that.
Chiney, did you say it? I haven't heard anyone ever say that the Boston Celtics have a super team. Now, didn't Jason Tatum sit down with you? And what did he tell you?
He said that he believes that he's the best player on the floor when he goes between those lines.
And he also said that, right, and I don't want to be wrong here, correct me if I'm wrong, but he also said that he couldn't wait for this moment.
Yes.
Meaning the postseason.
Right, because he's kind of felt like he's let folks down and let himself down in times before.
And he's still letting us down right now, okay? And I'm not overreacting because it's one game, and it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And if you're a team that call yourself standing on business and waiting on this moment right here in the postseason to prove to yourself and the world, especially Jason Tatum, then damn it, you cannot lose by 20 plus at the crib, right? You got to handle business at home. This can't be an inconsistent thing where, we're like, this happened with the Celtics. They'll be fine in games 3, 4, and 5. No, that's not how it goes. We're watching the Minnesota Timberwolves team out west that's dominating, that's showing the world by making statement games that they're on a mission. That's what the Celtics supposed to be doing.
All right, let's talk a little bit more about Jason Tatum to Chiney, because despite being the higher seed, this is the 4th straight series that Boston has failed to win their first 2 games at home. What's the most frustrating part when it comes to the Celtics' inconsistencies here in your mind?
Yeah, when you think about Jason Tatum, you could see it. He's putting a lot of pressure on himself. The words that he said, I truly think that he wants to be that guy. He wants to be the best player on the Celtics. He wants to be the best player in the NBA, but sometimes that pressure is not bringing out the best in him. It's more so like you want him to be vulnerable. You want him to play free. You don't want him to play pretty. And I feel like that's what we see all the time. But if we're going to narrow in on my biggest issue with the Celtics or any team overall, I want you to win or lose the same way. And they don't do that. When they win by making threes, and it's all cute and it's all beautiful. But when they lose, it's almost like, okay, you're not going to stop the bleeding. Instead, it's like, okay, who are you? They have identity issues when they lose. Who needs the ball? What is the best offense for them? Instead of just being this team that we know is consistent, whether they win or whether they lose. And lastly, I'll say this. They were 8 for 35 from three.
Right.
They didn't shoot as many threes that they normally want to, but the problem is that 77% of the threes they shot were highly contested. You're shooting it because you have in the back of your mind, like, I'm supposed to shoot this shot. Nah, you're supposed to pump fake and get to the mid-range or attack the basket or draw a foul. We saw some moments, but it feels like they're ingrained to just shoot those shots even when they're missing. They missed like 16 threes in a row at one point from the third to the fourth. And that's where they're immersed in their identity of shooting, not necessarily the identity of their best player or even at times the identity of their coach. And that's what frustrates me overall.
And that was great by Chiney, but we're talking about one side of the basketball, right? Yes,
Okay.
They went 8 for 35 from the three-point line, but the last time I checked, they're supposed to have one of the best defensive teams in the league, especially when you look at their personnel around the perimeter. You can't walk into an arena and control whether or not, as a team, you're going to make shots. But you know what you can control, Malika? It's effort. Effort defensively, right? Like getting back in transition, making sure that Donovan Mitchell is uncomfortable and not in his rhythm. If you're going to switch and have a smaller guy on Evan Mobley on the low block, is somebody going to be digging? Is somebody going to trap? Are you going to box out? Are you going to grab rebounds? Like the effort plays going for the 50-50 balls, those are the things that you could control. Watching that game last night, again, it looked like the Celtics didn't give a damn. It was a perfect example of how missed shots affected the way that they play on the defensive side of things.
Look, it's fine to lose one game, right? Anyone is allowed to lose one game, but you need to beat this Cleveland Cavaliers team. They didn't have Kristaps Porzingis last night working in the post. It looked like this was maybe a time they could have used him when Derek White's shot isn't falling, when Jason Tatum's shot hasn't really been falling in the same way we've wanted it to all series, when Jaylen Brown, who's been helping carry this team as of late, his shot isn't falling. That's when you want Kristaps Porzingis. All that being said, it's one game, but they still got to get this work done. So hopefully we see Jalen Brunson tonight, but New York Knicks forward OG Anunoby will miss tonight's Game 3 against the Pacers with a strained left hamstring. Our Adrian Wojnarowski reported that while Anunoby is undergoing some more testing, he's unlikely to actually play in Sunday's Game 4 as well. Now, the Knicks, they have outscored teams by over 15 points per game when he's on the floor this season. That is the most in the NBA. But take a look at this. The Pacers, they're currently 7.5-point favorites in this Game 3 against the Knicks. That's according to ESPN Bet. That is the third largest favorite role for a team trailing in a Series 0-2 in the last 15 postseasons. So let's go to Indianapolis now. That is where our Brian Windhorst is. How do the Knicks plan to deal with this absence of OG Anunoby, Brian?
Yeah, Malika, so the problem here isn't just the lack of players, it's the position. All of these injuries that the Knicks have had have been to their forwards and their centers. It's not just as simple as bringing in other guards. They've got to reposition their team. So, Mr. Do-It-All, never leave the court, Josh Hart, is going to have his role expand even more. Look for him to move down and play minutes at power forward in this game because he's not leaving the court, as you know. And then that will leave a spot open there for them to use Alec Burks, who is the guard that they have off the bench that they acquired from the Pistons during the season. Now, the other player that's going to see a different role, Precious Achiuwa. We'll see if he actually starts, but whether he comes off the bench or starts, he's going to be the power forward who fills in for OG Anunoby, and he's going to act as the backup center to fill in for Isaiah Hartenstein when he's allowed to leave the court. So I think you'll see the Knicks basically go with 7 more players again tonight with the introduction of Alec Burks. It's going to be hard, but the Knicks have been preparing for it for the last day and a half and believe that they have enough to try to steal one here in Indy.
They've been preparing for it for the last day and a half. They've also had some experience with this in the regular season as well. Brian Windhorst, thank you so much for that update. But this is going to be a loss, right? Because before the injury, OG was putting together arguably the best playoff performance of his career. He was scoring 28 points in 28 minutes, so it's safe to say the Knicks are facing a little bit of an uphill battle filling those minutes, 40-plus per game. So Chiney Ogwumike, what is this actually going to look like on the floor for New York?
Yeah, let's go big picture. Jalen Brunson has been cooking in the fourth quarter, and he has been cooking in clutch time. But when you think also of OG Anunoby, I want you to remember he's built from or I guess you can say cut from the same cloth. All he does is win, win, win.
No matter
Look
what.
at these numbers right here. Thank you, sis. I knew you would pick it up where I was putting it down. 26-5 record, and look at the opponent's points per game. So he wins. So I know I said cooking, right? That means the Pacers, they might need to add something spicy to their recipe because he was guarding Pascal Siakam. I think Pascal Siakam is really looking towards having a bigger game. Watch this matchup right here. He will have the advantage. This is a mismatch technically. He's able to take those 4 inches that he has on Josh Hart, elevate and hit the mid-range. He was averaging 22 points per game in the first round, only 16. I see the numbers moving up. Again, Precious Achiuwa, they give him space to work. He's even longer, athletic, more power forward, and he's still able to get a bucket over him. So I know OG is the Pascal stopper, and so now you're going to look at the roles reversed where that guy's not out there, and now he's going to have a mouse in the house where he'll be able to get back to his top tier form.
NBA,